Prove this video wrong. Prove this video wrong.
Okay, I'll prove it wrong. You don't have to yell at me.
Okay, so I went down 12 o'clock this afternoon. I saw an elephant in the parking lot. It's really there. Now I come back to my apartment. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and let's just say the greatest atheist of all time, Paul G, is now in my apartment. Why is he in your apartment, Craig? I don't know. Maybe he's trying to score some weed. He thinks I have weed. I got no weed to sell, Paul. Sorry. Can't help him. He's in my apartment. And I say to him, Paul, Jesus loves you. You should really become a Christian. What is he going to say to me? He'll probably say, do you have any evidence for the existence of God, Craig? Now, this is where most Christians are going to insert argument for the existence of God. And if those arguments, as I've said in the past, if those arguments were successful, I wouldn't be making this video. Because he is asking for evidence of the existence of God. We are in an apartment, separate from any way that I could demonstrate experientially the reality of God. So he's asking for a propositional argument. Now, if the arguments worked, I would simply go, Kalam, and he'd go,
here's this deconverted man video that points out all the logical fallacies of that argument. Because that's what he would do.
I say to Paul, there's an elephant in the parking lot. It's not plausible. He says to me, give me evidence. Now do you understand the analogy? We are standing in an apartment separate from the actual elephant.
Okay, let's have me in the apartment, because I'm not Paul, and I can only speak for myself, and I wouldn't speak on Paul's behalf. So you're telling me there's an elephant in the parking lot. Okay, let's go look at the elephant. You have windows. Do they look out to the parking lot? No? Okay, let's go down there and see the elephant. Well, no, we're trapped in the apartment, I guess. Okay, well, alright, well, that's a different problem there. We better call someone for help. Maybe when they get here, they can tell us if there's an elephant in the dang parking lot. But if there's no way for us to go see the elephant for some reason, or we go down there, and it's gone, it's not there, and I look around like, where? No elephant poop, no tracks, no anything that would indicate there was an elephant here. I'd be like, well, Craig, I don't know. I mean, it's no elephant here. And you'd be like, oh, I saw it. Sure. I believe you. I have no reason to doubt you. Why would you make something up like that? I don't know. I'm like, all right, there's an elephant. I don't need to be skeptical. It's an outside of the normal claim, sure. But it's still within a claim that I can accept because it's not an extraordinary claim. Also, I'd ask why the bleep were floating heads, and then you would say because you were too lazy to edit it in a different way, and then the screen goes black. What the bleep? Okay, enough with the analogies. Let's just stick to the situation at hand, which is what you've expressed, and I've understood it since the start of our video exchanges back and forth and throughout this conversation that's morphed into being about epistemology, which is really where it started. And there's a lot of difference that maybe I didn't communicate well enough, I don't know, but there is a difference between having faith in something versus having empirical, testable evidence of something. And those are the way I define those words. Maybe you define them in a different way, so be it. But what you're talking about is essentially, I have had an experience of X, and then I tell that to somebody, and the event's gone, it's happened, they can't verify it for whatever reason. So the question is, are they going to be skeptical? Well, they might be, depending on the claim being made. If it's a normal claim, they're probably not going to be skeptical. But it just depends on the type of claim being made. And if I say I ate dinner last night, the social contract is where we grant each other innocence until guilt is proven. So we assume the other person's being honest to us for many reasons. It smooths over relations, it's the way our society broadly speaking functions, etc. So if you say, I had dinner last night, okay, you had dinner last night. Now what you're saying is, this is a more improbable event. Okay, granted. So a claim like that would be something like, I ate dinner with the President of the United States last night. Even if you know me very well and know me to be an honest person, you might be a little bit skeptical of that claim, or flat out be skeptical of the claim. And I wouldn't be upset, because I'd be like, yeah, well, I didn't take any pictures or videos because I'm a nitwit and I didn't do that for some reason. Yeah. But it's like, all right, well, you can be skeptical. I know that there's no reason I'm giving you to believe my claim, but I know it's true. And you're, okay, well, that's the end of that. And that's all fine and good, because hypothetically there'd be some evidence, if we wanted to dig it out somehow, that we could prove this thing happened. But at the very least, we know it's plausible and possible, even if it's outlandish and a bit above the normal day-to-day claims that we make. But this claim is not an ordinary claim, nor is it an unusual claim in that sense. This is an extraordinary claim. The claim of the divine is one that humans have been, looking after since we were humans, maybe even before. And, 33% of the world is Christian, 33% is, Muslims actually growing from that last I knew, whatever. And they all have different claims of different divine things. That's interesting, but it doesn't tell us that it's actually of the divine. That's just the label that we've given it. Now, when people have been tested by science, what that shows is that this experience is happening in the head, in the brain, exactly where we would expect it to happen. But we don't see any evidence that it's coming from any external source. Maybe that's hidden to us or something for some reason, but we're not able to detect that right now. So we have the known explanation that this comes from the brain. And then we have the belief that it comes from something else, whether that's God or aliens or whatever it is that you want to fill in that blank with. But that's a belief, and that's what it is. It's a belief. It's a faith. And I'm not, going to argue that that's good or bad. I don't know. It might be benign. It might be part of how brains work. I have no idea. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in overturning somebody's faith. I'm only interested in having a logically valid argumentation and a good epistemology all the way around. And that's, if you're saying let's have a conversation, okay, I'm trying to have that conversation, but you have to be on the same page and understand that this claim is of something that we've labeled as God or as the divine or whatever. That doesn't make it that label, and it can be as real to you as real can be. That doesn't change anything. We don't know where it's coming from other than your brain for sure. You also talk in your video about contrasting and comparing your experience with other believers. And even if we recorded your brain waves and we could show that Christians have this sort of brainwave and Hindus have this sort of brainwave, or what if everybody had the same brainwave when it came to religious experience? It would still only show us that it's coming from the brain. There isn't something that shows us that it's anything other than the brain. And until we have that, the skeptic is going to say, whatever you believe about that experience is just a belief. We know it comes from the brain. We can demonstrably demonstrate that. And in fact, according to the God Helmet studies, they can make people feel like God is there. They report that they felt like it was God. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that the brain is capable of producing this experience. But it doesn't show us that God is a thing in the first place. And that's what the skeptic, and broadly speaking, the atheist is looking for. Although other atheists might be looking for other things, I don't know. But I know what I'm looking for. The empirical evidence, the repeatable test, or the valid and sound argument. Well, we don't have empirical evidence because it's an internal experience. There's no repeatable test because the only thing that's done is feeling a certain feeling, which I can generate in other ways that don't require there to be a God. So that suggests that it's natural, not God. And there doesn't appear to be a valid and sound argument, at least I haven't found one yet, or heard one, or read one yet, but I'm always looking for one. In fact, I'm always looking for all three of those things, because that's my epistemology. And it's the epistemology that I've shared with people time and again on my channel. If we don't have empirical evidence, or a repeatable test, or a valid and sound argument, we should be skeptical of the conclusions.
What's a deconverter man?
What are you asking me for? I don't know.